The mysterious passenger. What if an ordinary night could change your life forever? Imagine you're a taxi driver and a passenger enters your car, leaving more questions than answers. Who is he and why after his disappearance? Will your life never be the same? Stay with us to uncover the truth about an encounter that chills to the bone. I've been a taxi driver for 10 years, and in that time I've seen a lot of strange things, but this story still haunts me. It was a regular night shift. At 2:30 a.m., my app notified me of a pickup in a remote part of town near the edge of a forest. The location was odd, no houses, just an old gas station that hadn't been operational for years. When I arrived, I saw a man. He was dressed in a black coat and hat that obscured half of his face. He carried a suitcase, old but sturdy looking. "Did you order a taxi?" I asked, rolling down the window. "Yes," he replied curtly and got into the back seat. When I entered the address he gave me, the GPS showed an empty area outside the city limits. I asked if the address was correct, and he simply nodded. His voice was calm but strangely cold. We drove in silence. The atmosphere grew increasingly tense, as if the air in the car had thickened. When I asked what he was doing out so late, he only said, "It's an important meeting." When we arrived, the road ended. In front of us was nothing but dense fog and a dark forest. The man asked me to stop. He got out of the car but left the suitcase on the back seat. "You forgot your suitcase," I called out, but he had already vanished into the fog. I stepped out to look for him, but he was nowhere to be found, just the cold wind and the rustling of trees. Returning to the car, I opened the suitcase. Inside was an old clock showing 3:33 and a note that read, "Thank you for the ride. We'll meet again when the time comes." I drove home trying to forget the incident, but now, every night at 3:33, I receive a text message with no sender. The time is almost here. He stopped clock. Some things are better left untouched. But what if an old pocket watch holds a secret that will change everything you believe in? A stop clock isn't just a coincidence, it's a warning. Are you ready to dive into this chilling story? I've always loved antiques. At a flea market, I came across an old pocket watch. It looked perfect, a silver case, intricately engraved dial, and hands that seemed frozen in time. The seller was peculiar, an old man with cold eyes who simply said, "The watch chooses its owner. Be careful." I took it as a theatrical sales pitch and bought the watch without hesitation. But when I tried to wind it, it only worked for a few hours before stopping precisely at 3:15 a.m. The next night, I decided to stay awake. At 3:15, I heard a faint tapping sound coming from the living room. I grabbed a flashlight and went to check. On the table next to the watch was an old, yellowed photograph that hadn't been there before. The photo showed a young man wearing the same clothes as the watch seller. But behind him stood a shadowy figure. That looked like me. My heart froze. The next day, I went back to the flea market, but the seller was gone. When I woke up, the watch had disappeared, but every night at 3:15, I hear a faint tapping in the living room, and each time it sounds closer. The forgotten password. What would you do if you found an old phone with a mysterious message? Enter the password to uncover the truth. This is just the beginning of a game that leads to terrifying answers. But are you ready to pay the price for knowing? Stay tuned to unlock the unknown. Okay, I'll read it to you. This is just the beginning of the unknown. So I found it by accident while cleaning out the old basement in the house I inherited from my grandfather. An old phone, scratched and covered in dust, lay at the bottom of a cardboard box. I pressed the power button and the screen lit up with a message. One word finally spoke to me. The word starting with, "Send me queen. Send me queen." To the person buried under mine. Enter the password to uncover the truth. After several failed attempts, the screen changed. Final warning. I felt uneasy but didn't stop. Entered another password. The phone unlocked. On the screen was a list of files with strange names. Memories, guilt, truth. I opened the file labeled Truth. It was a video. My grandfather appeared on the screen and said, "If you're watching this, you're already on their radar. Don't look any further." Who lives in my house? Imagine you buy an old house hoping for a fresh start, but instead of peace, you find fear and mystery. At night, you hear whispers, see strange things, and find a message that forces you to ask one chilling question: who really lives in your house? This story will change your perception of reality. And while I do not particularly believe in the living in the home, I do think it's a very interesting, distasteful explanation. When I bought the old house, one room immediately caught my attention. It was locked with a massive padlock, and I couldn't find the key. And it's because like this mindset of just like, I keep getting wooed with, and I don't understand how to get rid of this. One night I heard faint whispers coming from that room. I approached the door and asked, who's there? The whispers stopped. By morning, the door was open. Inside, there was nothing but walls covered in symbols. And one message painted in red. Jacob still ran, but in his soul, he was walking punch painted all the way there to die. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button. Share in the comments, have you ever experienced a similar situation? And if you want even more interesting content, tap the bell so you don't miss any new videos. See you in the next one.